Good evening, and welcome to the 2020 Economic Survival and Preparation channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this June 10th, 2020, Wednesday, Hump Day Wednesday. Well, it appears that the Dow Jones has once again closed down for the second straight day. This is bucking a trend of a 7-day rally that it was on. But the NASDAQ closed up into record territory once again at an all-time high. But that is not the most important news today. What I want to talk to you today about is a two-part series that I have entitled The Perfect Storm. And I'm relating this to the perfect economic storm. And before I begin, I want to give you some context. I was out yesterday, this weekend, at a shopping center, and they had these shopping centers have these anchor stores attached to them. And one of the anchor stores attached to them was a Barnes & Noble. For those of you who are a little bit older, the primary bookstore used to be Borders and all that. But as you know, that went out of they went bankruptcy, and Barnes & Noble took over the majority of their locations. And while I was there, I was talking to some of the clerks there and some of the people that were helping me gather some material on survival books. It's always a good thing to get. I encourage you guys to get those survival into bushcraft survival, any kind of survival books as known. But I was there and I asked them, I said, when do you think this thing will get back to normal? Has anybody? I was quiet in here. It was only two people in the store, me and another young lady, and the rest were employees. And there was no dining. There was no outside dining. The Starbucks there was closed inside the building. And so he said, well, I don't know. I thought we were going into phase 2 opening, but everybody's doing their own thing. The states, the countries, every state is doing their own thing in terms of this reopening. And I don't know when we're going to get back to normal, but I sure wish 2020 would be on the restart button. A lot of people feel that way because we are just beginning the tip of the iceberg of what's really going down. In spite of this fake economy, this fake stock market, people are really, really hurting out there. As you know, we have 40 million people unemployed, 45 million people unemployed, and that's part of the ingredients I want to talk to you today about. So the three things for the perfect storm, just like a hurricane needs ingredients to form, these are the ingredients that the Fed is cooking up for the perfect economic collapse storm, okay? And they are. We're going to talk about each three of them. High unemployment that is not going down persistently, double digits or even higher. The Fed came out today, and secondly, the Fed came out today in their Wednesday meeting and said, Jerome Powell said that the U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said that he doesn't anticipate any rate cuts, no rate hikes. He's not going to hike the rates. And so the market took that as a downward sound. And also, remember now, this is the same person that said that he's committed to doing unlimited QE. That's called unlimited quantitative easing, whatever it takes to keep these markets propped up. But according to the WashingtonPost.com, the Federal Reserve predicts slow recovery with unemployment at 9.3% by the end of 2020. The central bank plans to keep its benchmark U.S. interest rate near 0%, which we're already at, through at least 2022. Now, guys, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that it takes much more than 2 years for an economy that was in a recession since February, according to CNBC. We know that we were already in a recession long before then because the economic data is at least a year behind. So we are heading toward a depression, if not already in one. And he's saying, Chairman Jerome Powell saying that it's only going to take 2 years to recover. Listen, we're looking at a 10-year minimum recovery. We're looking at a Japan-style recovery that could last longer than 10 years. Because the longer they kick the can down the road, the longer they pump up this money to infinity, printing up this money to infinity, the more damage is going to be done to the real economy. So we're looking at a 10 to 12-year recovery, okay? If we recover at all from the damage that has been done. Because remember now, first we had the business shut down because of corona. Everything has been blamed because of this coronavirus, okay? Now they're saying in the news, if you've been listening, that they think a second wave is coming and that a lot of cases have increased. So guess what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means that sometime this summer you may be faced with another lockdown, a complete lockdown, a shutdown, and that's when the real damage is going to begin. Because not only do we have high unemployment, but we have companies, real companies that are filing for bankruptcy, such as oil companies, whiting company, petroleum companies. We have Hertz Rental Company. We have other companies that are filing for bankruptcy. A lot of these retail stores are already filing for bankruptcy, such as Cheesecake Factory and other restaurants and other stores are not going to be able to survive hanging on to 2022, much less through the year 2020. So, and remember, that's on top of this summer. July 31st is the deadline for when the unemployment checks run out, the $600 added bonus, if Congress doesn't extend it, okay? So we have the perfect storm of high unemployment. We have the Fed saying that they're committed to not raising rates, okay, to help to grow this economy, okay? You cannot grow an economy on 0% interest rates, no production. We're not manufacturing anything in the United States. And 45 million people out of work and climbing. Okay, that's not the recipe when you're trying to expand an economy and a huge amount of debt. Okay, so that is not the recipe for growth. And people are out there gambling on the stock market on companies that have going bankruptcy, and have no future at all. So Jerome Powell says that, quote, unemployment remains historically high. My assumption is that there will be a significant chunk, well into the millions of people who do not go back to their old job. Well, duh. These places are closed for good. In case you didn't get the memo, they're not coming back. Those restaurants, those small businesses, those small plumbing businesses, those small repair businesses, those stores, those cleaners, those nail salons, those tattoo parlors, those places are not coming back at all as we enter the deepest recession since the Great Depression. And the Fed said that basically they're going to increase their balance sheet to $10 trillion by the end of the year. Okay. So they're printing up quantitative easing, but the quantitative easing is not for the regular worker, not for Main Street. It is for the top 1% of people in this economy. That's where all this cheap money is going to, because the banks are being able to make cheap loans and at the same time charging us interest and high loans. You know that the average car payment now for used car payment is $397. The average new car payment is over $575 a month. Okay, so you tell me, if someone is not working or if someone is working in less job, how are they going to be able to survive that? Bloomberg.com. World economy crash sparks warning on early lifeline withdrawal. The OECD, that's the Organization of Economic Cooperative and Development organization, says that the world economy will shrink 6% in 2020. So for those of you thinking of moving out of the United States and going to Canada or Mexico or Europe or one of the islands, Tahiti or Hawaii, it's going to be everywhere. This is a global contraction of the economy, okay? And unfortunately, everybody's just going to blame it on this COVID-19 virus, but we know that the economy was in a recession before the COVID-19, okay? We have never recovered from 2008. We've never recovered from 2001, September the 11th. The economy has never recovered, okay? And the risk that we have here is the perfect storm, because we have social unrest, high unemployment, unlimited money printing. As a matter of fact, the House has passed the second stimulus bill, but the Senate has not passed it. So there's a chance that there's at least a 50% chance that most Americans will get another stimulus check before the end of August, okay? That's how bad it is. But it's not going to matter, because the value of your money is going down, okay? But all I can tell you now is to prepare for the perfect storm, is to continue stacking food, water, continue stacking medicine, continue stacking gold and silver, even cryptos, okay? Continue stacking, because supplies chain disruption is going to continue to get worse, especially in the areas of food. Go to your grocery store now, okay? Look at the meats, look at the cheeses, look at the milk, look at the bread. They're either in low supply, or the supplies they have, or the prices are substantially rising by 10 to 15% every single week, okay? Not to mention, there's going to be long lines for water, long lines for food, long lines for healthcare, okay? As we continue in this crisis and people figure out that we're not going to rebound from this in the next 2 or 3 years, then that's when supplies are going to be scarce. So get your seeds, get your heirloom seeds, get your water, get your medication, get your candles, your food, your water, because who knows, we may have a power outage, we may have an EMP, we may have another situation that's going to come up and during this time. Okay, so that's why it's important to get prepared. Start buying books on survival, bushcraft survival. Start buying books on, plants and herbs to eat outside of the medical system, just in case you cannot get to the hospital in time. When the system really does get overwhelmed, because when the perfect storm hits, we're not gonna have time to think about all these things. We're not gonna have time to train. The time to train and prepare is now, and it's running out very fast, faster than you and I thought. Okay, by the end of 2020, we could be in a whole different world. Okay, we could be in a world where the police are no longer protecting these cities and counties and states because of what's going on. We could be in a world where, like I said, a lot more than 50% of us may be unemployed or working from home, and it could be even dangerous to work from there. And so it is important, ladies and gentlemen, to get prepared for the perfect storm that's coming. The economic collapse is coming. It's on its way. It's here now. Okay, and the United States will be first to be impacted and not the last to be impacted, as many people have said. Okay, so buy your stuff now while the dollar still has some kind of buying power, and just hope for the best. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me. I will talk to you guys once again in the next video, The Perfect Storm Part 2, and have a blessed day and a blessed week. Bye-bye.